Let me describe a feeling I'm guessing you know pretty well. Everything needs your attention at the same time. The project is behind, the team has a problem, the financials need reviewing, there's a personal thing pulling at you, and your email has been sitting at 47 unread for 3 days. And instead of moving off any of it, you kind of freeze, or you move on all of it at once, which means you're not really moving off any of it. We call this overwhelming, and most of the device out there treats it like a time management problem. It isn't. It's a prioritization problem. There's a specific way that some of the highest performance people under pressure in the world have learned to solve it. It comes out of special operations, and it works in a boardroom and a living room just as well as it works in a combat zone. Here's what the research on high-stakes decision-making constantly shows. Under stress, the human brain's executive function degrades. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for weighing options, planning ahead, and regulating impulse, essentially gets throttled by the stress response. To get worse at the very cognitive tasks that the situation demands most. This is why experienced operators and elite military units don't try to solve all their problems simultaneously in a crisis. They know what happens to cognitive performers under load. They've trained specifically to resist the urge to check on everything at once, because that urge, however natural, is a direct path to paralyze and fragment effort. That principle they use is called prioritize and execute, and the name is almost exceptionally simple. It means identify the single highest priority problem in front of you right now, execute on that. Once it's handled or stabilized, resist. Identify the next highest priority, execute on that. That's it, one thing at a time in deliberate sequence, with full commitment to each before moving to the next. And now, I want to be honest about why this is harder than it sounds. Because the obvious question is, how do I know what the highest priority actually is? And the trap here is what I call the relativity trap. When you're in the middle of multiple crises, they all feel equally urgent. The stress hormone is coursing through your system. Don't know the difference between a 5-alarm fire and a 2-alarm fire. Everything feels like it needs you right now. That is where experienced leaders separate themselves from everyone else. They learn to ask a specific question. Which of these problems, if left unaddressed for the next hour, cause the most irreversible damage? Not which is most stressful, not which is loudest, not which showed up in my box most recently. Which one, if ignored, cannot be undone. That's your priority. Everything else can wait. Not forever, but for now. And here's the counterintuitive part that took me a while to really absorb. Giving something your full, undivided attention for 20 minutes actually solved it faster than splitting your attention across 5 things for 2 hours. The math sounds wrong, but the cognitive science backs it up completely. This isn't a modern concept, it just got modern language. Marcus Aurelius was simultaneously managing a military campaign on the Danube frontier and the Western Plague spreading through the empire, a political insurgence in the east, and a senate that regularly tested his authority. By any reasonable measure, he was never not overwhelming. What kept him functional wasn't that he was superhuman, it's that he had a discipline, documented in his own journal, of engaging one problem fully before mentally moving to the next. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not the past, not the 3 future problems lined up behind this one, the present." Epictetus framed it differently but arrived at the same place. The man who tries to handle everything at once handles nothing well. The man who gives each thing the proper attention in sequence handles everything. This is also, interestingly, what the contemplative traditions understood. Monastic rules throughout the history, Benedictine, Carmelite, Dominican, all built their daily structures around single-minded attention to one activity at a time. Not because monks had less to do, because they understood what fragmented attention costs. Here's how to actually run this in your daily life. When you feel overwhelmed coming on, and you learn to recognize the physical sensation of it, the slightly panicizing buzzing feeling, stop. Physically stop what you're doing for 6 seconds. Write down every open problem that has your attention, get it out of your head and onto paper or a screen. This alone reduces the cognitive load significantly. Your brain stops trying to hold all of it simultaneously. Then ask the irreversibility question. Which of these, if I not do nothing for the next hour, cause damage I can undo? That one goes to the top. The rest gets sequenced below it. But they leave your conscious attention entirely until it's their turn. Then you execute fully, without the others pulling at you. When that one is handled or stabilizes, you resist. The landscape may have changed, a new priority may have emerged, you run the question again. It's not a productivity hack. It's a cognitive strategy for maintaining decision quality under load. There's something in the book of Ecclesiastes that I've been thinking about in relation to this. Wherever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Not do everything with half of your might. Not keep 17 things in motion simultaneously and count that diligence. Whatever your hand finds to do, that one thing right now, do it with everything you have. That's not a productivity philosophy, that's a character philosophy. It's about the quality of presence you bring to whatever you're doing. And in a world designed to fragment your attention at every turn, choosing to give one thing your full presence is generally countercultural. What is the one thing right now that deserves all of your attention? That you've been given maybe a third of it. Think about it.